of the meeting, there are a number of things that I would like to express my appreciation for. Number one, I would like to appreciate the appreciation for the flexibility of those who are working behind the camera and the audio, etc. Because I'd also like to show my appreciation or express my appreciation to Reverend Alison Wish for a very meaningful but short service of worship. Thank you very much to all of you who have contributed in making it possible for us to enjoy a time of fellowship during the interval between the service and the meeting. I hope that you caught up with your friends and church family, and I'd also like to just express my gratitude that we saw a couple of people's faces who haven't been here for a while. You may have seen Kieran, and you will also have seen Jenny Wilson, but we also we had another new person today, and I hope that Dean you made yourself known to him if that was possible. Shall we begin the meeting? And in beginning the meeting, may I welcome you to this place and say, Ninamani. It is good for us to meet and welcome each other, but as part of that, we need to continue our acknowledgement of the first peoples of this land, the Kaurna people on whose land this church has been built, and generations of Christians have been at mission and worship. We acknowledge the Kaurna people and their strong relationship with the land, and we acknowledge those elders past, present and emerging. Just as we acknowledge those people in the faith have gone before us and have made it possible for us to be the people of Christ in this community. We hope that we will continue to be just that for those inside our congregation and within the wider community. Before I explain the purpose of the cards for those who might need it, can I just ask, I'm aware of a number of people who are doing it a little tough. I'm not going to name names, but I think that I would like to just begin the meeting with a word of prayer. So please join me in prayer. Compassionate One, be with us and those we love, as they may be going through difficult times, brought about by health or illness or someone else or some other situation. Please help them to understand through our actions, our interest and our capacity to be patient and present for them, that your love is expressed in a way that is best for them. Be with us as we begin this work, as we begin this time of administrative consideration, just as you have been with us throughout the rest of the day. Amen. Now, most of you, I'm sure, will know that we now operate via consensus decision-making, and that to help that, those who can see will be helped by you if, when you are warm to a situation or a circumstance or a question, you put up your orange cards. When you are cool to the situation, in other words, you don't agree with the particular situation or point of view, then when I ask for you to show me your cards, then you put up a blue card. The yellow card is a reasonably recent addition, and it is there for you to be able to use should you have a question. Now, in order that the question can be heard, we have asked Ray to provide a mobile microphone. If you are happy not to be seen as you ask your question or make your comment, please stay where you are. If you, however, wish to be seen by those gathered within this place and also on live stream, you are encouraged to come out to the front so that the cameras that are operating might be able to pick you up. Okay, so the consensus cards are there for you. Is there anybody who hasn't got a set of cards? Right. We have some apologies already. Please know that Craig is assiduously indicating your presence. If you are aware of people who have apologised for not being able to be here this morning, could you please let Craig know at the end of the meeting? Now, that's the welcome and the attendance.
Yeah, confirmation.
Now, the last time we had a congregation meeting, it was to deal with important matters relating to our placement. You remember that the congregational profile and the election of members of the Joint Nominating Committee were the main points or the main business of that meeting. You have a copy of the draft minutes of that meeting. Thank you to Craig for doing that. Can I ask, are there anybody present who has any questions about those minutes? Can I ask you then to indicate your warmth or otherwise to accepting the minutes as an accurate record of the meeting? Right. There being no yellow cards, we have consensus? Yes, we have consensus. Thank you. I don't think we adopted the agenda, did we? No. We probably better do that, hadn't we? Right, that's okay. That's okay. Listen, some of us can't see very well, but there you go. The confirmation of the agenda, you would already have received that, those of you who are on email, but you will also have been able to get a printed copy from the usual place in the foyer earlier today. Can I ask that with the... is a report from the Community Building and Fundraising on there? Yes. Can I ask you if you are prepared to accept the agenda as printed as the way forward this morning? All orange cards. We have consensus? Yes, we have consensus. Thank you very much. That being the case, we can move on to the next item, which is the interim report for the Joint Nominating Committee. Now, this is going to be very short, and unless other members of the Joint Nominating Committee would like to speak, all I can say is that the Joint Nominating Committee has met 2 or 3 times, a couple of times in person and at least once via Zoom. We have met with the presbytery representatives, who are Reverend Paul Turley and Reverend Rebecca Perling, and we are presently waiting for names from placements. Now, you will understand that the Christmas hiatus affects many processes, and it will also affect the Placements Committee, the Synod Placements Committee meeting. We will next get names from them after the meeting on the 22nd of January. Until then, we are fortunate to have Reverend Alison Wish with us until at least the middle of January, and we look forward to her participation in the life of our congregation. And can I ask you all to particularly continue to pray for the members of the Joint Nominating Committee, the Placements Committee, and the work that they do in providing names, suitable names, for the community of Morialta to consider and work with in the future. Now, Joint Nominating Committee members, is there anything else that you would like to say? Is there anything else that needs to be said? Members of the congregation, do you have any questions about the joint nominating process? That being the case, please, if you don't have any questions now, but would like to, but have some concerns or questions as we move forward, please remember that I'm a bit nervous. I always get nervous about doing these sorts of meetings. But anyway, my declaration of willingness to hear from people and inviting people to get in touch with questions or concerns is not an empty one. If you've got any questions or concerns, you all know my phone number, and there are other members of the Joint Nominating Committee whom I'm sure you know as well. Please speak to them and talk about your concerns. Thank you very much. Let us move on to the next item, which is Finance Report. Now, I'm really grateful to Carol for getting up. You'll notice that she's not as mobile as she usually is, and we appreciate you participating this morning. Thank you, Carol. I'll hand over to you.
Right. The first report is the accounts to the 31st of October this year. It's just to let you know how we're running this year, and then after that I'll be presenting the 2024 budget. So the accounts to the 31st of October this year, with the income, I've just gone to the major items, the major lines of income for the year to October. And all the giving there, you'll notice overall that includes the envelope giving, the UC Invest account eGive and the loose plate. The total there against the budget is $90,526. That's $3,026 over the budget, the anticipated budget. And of those three items, the only one that is under what we assumed the budget would be for this year is the loose plate giving. But the envelope giving and the e-give is well above budget. The hire of facilities is for $5,000 over budget, and that is due in large to the Dawoodi Bowra that we have here every year. They have been using the church and the hall more frequently than we anticipated, and that is going to be an ongoing thing each year. Apart from being a great money raiser for us, it is wonderful for us to have people of another faith using our premises. And they assure us they feel so at home here that they really do appreciate the use of these premises over the years. Now, fundraising, that went very well. In that figure of $12,000, I've included the November fundraising of the market. Helena will report on fundraising later, but the market itself now totals $10,977. So that was a fantastic effort by everybody involved. And the interest received, $3,000 over budget. There has been an increase in the interest rates being paid over about the last 12 months. Every so often our mortgages are going up, but our interest rates on our investments also have been going up a little bit. So that's really a great thing. Now, the other thing I've highlighted here is the donations, because they have been substantial this year. I've highlighted that our budget was only $500. It is very difficult to budget for donations. But you'll see that the funerals, which we've had several, generous donations of $4,600. The bequest of $10,000, That was from the estate of the late Ralph Holmes. Now, many people here today will remember Ralph and Dorothy, and Ralph was quite adamant that he wanted to contribute something to this church after his death. The deficit reduction, that was a very generous donation by a family here, and that was specifically given to assist in the budgeted deficit for this year. And the miscellaneous was other smaller items that people donated through up until October. So if we look at the overs there, at this stage, we're $41,000 above our budget. The remainder of all the income items, the smaller ones such as the community centre and things like that, they're pretty much on what we anticipated our budget might be. Is there any questions anybody would have on any part of the income items that I've shown there? There's a yellow card. Ruth? Just hang on a minute, Ruth. You'll get a...
I'm sorry, it's probably in another basket, but what about the student accommodation? Are they paying something towards the church?
The student accommodation is keeping this church afloat, Ruth, to put it very bluntly.
But,
their monthly rent...
I can't see, them itemised there, that's all.
Well, I didn't because they're both running onto budget. And but yes, they do. They all pay a monthly rental fee for rent and also for utilities. And to date, their income is very much on target because we specifically know exactly how much they are going to be paying each month in their rent. So yes, but they contribute considerably to the operation of this church. We might move on to the major expenses then. And I've only listed the properties here because, once again, the other items in the expenditure are smaller amounts and some of them have not been utilised at all and others have just a very small usage so far. So the properties, as we know, are the major expenses of the church apart from ministry. So the Chapel Street property, the maintenance and the other items there I've just listed. The maintenance is well under, and we've got to thank Chris Ailes for that. He keeps a fantastic eye on our properties, and he does a great job in the maintenance side of that, does a lot of work himself. Now, the rates and the utilities, they are showing... We don't know yet what that will be for the year because the cycle of the rates and the utilities is every 3 months, so there'll still be some changes there. The cleaning subcontractors, that we subcontract the cleaning of the church and the 24 Chapel Street properties. Now the manse, the Highland Avenue manse, that's under at the moment, but there will be perhaps a bit more expenditure this year. But next year, before we do have a new placement here, there will be an upgrade of the manse that is required of us. So there will be an upgrade in 2024 of the manse properties. And the Chapel Street properties are a little bit over expenses at the moment, but once again, that relies on when the utilities and the rates accounts come in. So we anticipate that will come out about even for the whole year. And as I said, the other expense lines are smaller expense lines, and some of them have not been utilised, some of them are only very small amounts utilised. So remember that this is only till the 31st of October this year, and that we do have another 2 months, but I don't anticipate there will be any great changes in these figures unless we have any property issues. So if there's any questions on any of those property expenditure items? No, that's great. Okay, thank you. And once we have the November figures, I'll be able to get perhaps a better picture of that. Now, if we can move on to...
Just to underline the fact that while we agreed to a deficit budget at the beginning of this financial period, because of a number of serendipitous situations, the budget, the deficit that we were expecting did not eventuate.
No, sorry, I forgot that last slide there.
Yep.
But if we have this, and remember once again, the 31st of October, the budget and the actuals showing our total income is $41,000 over the budget. Now, once again, it's because of the donations and the fundraising and the hall hire has given us that figure. The expenses are under, and once again, that's because of the properties have not had the maintenance that we always have to budget for. So if we look at those figures against budget at the 31st of October, we're looking at a $9,300 surplus at this stage. And remember, we've still got November and December to come. And the total amount we have invested with UC Invest as at the 31st of October is $229,700. Keep in mind that our predictions for the next 5 years, those amounts can diminish fairly quickly. Now, if we're happy with that, we'll go to the draft budget for 2024.
I would like to express our appreciation to Carol and the finance team, but I'd also like to show our appreciation to the people who have worked on minimising expenses and maximising the income. I think that good and faithful servants, well done. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, Carol.
You're right. Now, the 2024 budget, please keep in mind that a budget is your best guess or best estimate of what the income and expenditures might be for the following period. If we're looking at the income, we'll go through income first and then I'll take any questions on the income. The giving envelopes, the electronic and the loose plate, 25,000, 80,000 and 3,000. We've looked at the figures to the end of September it was, and this is the figure we've been able to come up with that would be in line with what our income has been to the end of September this year. The student accommodation, 37,400. As of the 1st of February next year, there will be a 3% increase in the monthly rental fee for each of the students next door. And the utilities, we're not putting an increase in that because we realise that this year their contributions have covered the costs of utilities in 24 Chapel Street. The hire of facilities, $18,000. As mentioned, the Dawoodi Bora contribute greatly to that. We do know that now that one of the square dance groups will not be continuing next year. The Tuesday group will not be continuing next year. The major fundraising, $10,000. We've raised that a little bit from our expectation this year, but Helena is going to give a report on the fundraising shortly. The community centre programs and the hospitality and catering come under the one line in the budget. The centre programs are the Tai Chi, the play group, others, art circle and so on. And generally, that is pure income to us. There are very rarely any expense items against those lines. Interest received, because I said earlier the interest rates have gone up in this last 12 months. We anticipate that there will be $7,000 for the interest from our investments with UC Invest. The donations, as I said before, it's very hard. This is just plucking a figure out of the air. But we put that at $4,000 for next year. The donations from the Netball Club, from time to time, as we know, the Netball Club have improvements made to the shed and various areas. We pay that, and then they will reimburse us the cost of those repairs or maintenance, less the GST component. So that really is a no cost to us because they reimburse us for that expense. So that $5,000 will be included in the expenditure side of it as well. And sundry income is when you get something and you have no idea where to put it. Sundry is a good item. So our total income we're anticipating for next year is $203,000. So I'm happy to have any questions on the income side of it. No yellow cards. Good. We'll move on to the expenses side of it. Now, the children and youth, we've not put anything in there because we have still about $1,200, which is a balance sheet item that has been there for many years. And so any expenses that we may have that comes from any programs or anything we do for children and youth will go against that balance sheet item. So therefore, there's nothing actually in our budget for that. The community centre, that includes fellowship, hospitality and catering. Going on, this figures to September, we anticipate that the income from morning teas, catering we might do for funerals and things like that will be $2,700. Pastoral care is a nominal amount of $300. That would cover cards and postage and things like that. Worship and faith education, that covers any special functions we may have, such as the Blue Christmas and anything that they might need for music or anything like that. Now, the administration, $157,000. That includes the ministerial stipend and funds and on-costs, such as insurance and the beneficiary funds, and the office coordinator salary. That will include a minister's computer that we may have to purchase, Zoom fees, and storage subscription, which is for the office internet. Communications, $800. To date, we've not utilised that in the last couple of years, but there always has to be an item in anticipation that there may be some costs there. The finance, the $4,000 for the sinking fund, for some years now, Church Council decided many years ago that each year $4,000 would be transferred into the UC Invest sinking fund investment, and that's building up funds over a period of time should we need any huge maintenance costs for the church. The property, $66,700 is for the three properties, 24 and 26 Chapel Street and the Manse. Once again, Chris has been very attentive to this, and he's done a great job. We just nothing more we can say about that. So we're looking at the audio-visual. Sorry, I missed that one. I've skipped a line. For 2024, the audio-visual is $14,000. And if that $14,000 is, perhaps there may need to be a replacement of the projector at the front of the church. We also, from time to time, have to replace the head microphones that give up the ghost. There are other unforeseen expenditure and small maintenance issues that might come up for the AV systems. So that was the $14,000. So if we go back to the expenses, including that, the total is $247,775. So is there any questions on the expenditure side of the budget, please?
Happy to stay here, thanks. Two things, maybe if we could take them both separately. Maybe a little bit more detail on the property, since that's a big figure.
Yep.
If that's possible, just what it's comprised of.
Yep.
and how necessary it is?
Just finding the property budget. There we go. Right. For the 26 Chapel Street property, repairs and maintenance, $10,000. Utilities, which is only the gas and electricity, $1,000. You know that as a church of property, we do not pay council rates. And with a property, the value of this particular property, that would be several $1,000s a year. So church properties, luckily, do not have to pay council rates. The gas and electricity, we kept that as a separate amount because they attract GST, whereas water and sewerage don't. So $4,000 for gas and electricity. We do have the panels on the roof, so that means that our electricity accounts are a lot less than they used to be. We have nothing for capital purchases and nothing for major works. The insurance, we expect a further price increase this year, as there has been for the last couple of years, because, as they explained to me when I queried the massive amount we pay, is that if a flood happens in Queensland or South Australia or a drought knocks everything off, all of Australia pays for the increase, not just those states. So it is an Australia-wide increase, not just the states it happens in. So we anticipate that insurance for next year, just on this property, will be $8,000. The cleaning and the subcontractors, as you know, we have them, as I said, this property and the property next door commercially cleaned. That will be around about the $10,000 mark. And cleaning materials, $1,000. Now, most of the cleaning materials are supplied by the subcontractor, but we do have to supply, of course, toilet paper and hand wash and things like that. So does that help, Steve?
Yeah, no, that helps a
Excellent.
lot, thank you. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of discretionary stuff there.
No, thank you.
The other one was the audio-visual.
Yeah.
You gave us some information on that. I'm curious, do we have any rough estimate of that projector cost?
Well, the projector cost is between a projector or a TV, I think the AV we're talking about, and that would be between $3,000 and $10,000. And this is for the projector here at the front of the church, and that projects onto the back of the church, and that is utilised by the minister, the singers and the pianist, and they find that helpful. I have a question on that one. It's really tricky. As you know, a couple of months ago, we presented a 5-year projection on where this church might be in 5 years' time. And that was not a pretty picture, we all know that. And within 4 years, our invested funds will be, if we continue to have big deficit budgets, and they in fact come to fruition, in 4 years' time, our invested funds will be used up. So my question is, and as we know, the properties and so on have been, expenditure only when necessary. But my question regarding the projector is, if within 4 years we're going to expend all of our funds, is it a wise move to spend up to $10,000 to replace a projector? Now, I know that sounds really harsh, but it's the finances team, jobs team, to look at this expenditure and say, is this something that we can really afford to do? I don't know if anybody would like to pass any comments on that, but that is something that I have considered over a few years.
Well, since I have the mic, I'll just say it does seem like a bit of a luxury item. I mean, a nice to have, but not crucial to what we're doing and if we're going out of business. Yeah.
Perhaps I can add to that and say that One of the things that we decided as a congregation to agree to last year as part of the Spring Into Action consultations that took place is that our streaming, our live streaming and our digital presence we considered an important and core ministry area for the congregation. Recognising that we are, in all sorts of ways, not able to do the sorts of things that we have in the past, we recognise that our live streaming capacity and the presentation of our weekly worship is an area that is core to our being. So I guess that's one of the things. Recognising also that the budget, as Carol is presenting it, has been considered by team leaders and by Church Council. And while Church Council recognises that the budget is not as good as we would like it to be, it is a budget. It is a best guess, and it is reserving funds and explaining how funds might be used during the financial period. If the projector isn't needed this year, then that will be a saving on the budget, won't it? But it is reasonable and important for us to continue to consider the expenditure in all areas and of all types. And so your particular opinions are important as we come to consider the acceptance or otherwise of the budget. So just to let you know in that. And can I also say, this is not necessarily to do with the budget, but the Church Council, who are small in number and would welcome an increase in elections that will happen next year, recognised that we needed broader assistance in considering the budget and the deficit, and there is a resourcing group that has met twice already, comprising of members of the congregation who have an interest in or a capacity to plan for and strategise and ask questions about how Morialta can best do its mission and service in the future. And Council is looking forward to hearing from them a little later and probably early in the new year. So that's just an additional piece of information for you to consider. Sorry to interrupt.
You're right.
Thank you.
Hang on. There's another red. Thank you, Steve.
Yes.
Just a question. In the student housing, how often...
Rob, if you could just stop there. Can we get the microphone down to Rob, please? Oh, Steve, you hadn't finished? Oh, I'm sorry. Can we reserve that, Rob? And
yes.
Steve, can you conclude? Thank you.
Sorry, yeah, just a response to that,
yes.
Bruce. It seems like projecting up on the back there is not crucial to our online ministry. That's my point.
Yep.
It seems like a luxury. I'm not questioning the
Yep.
online ministry at
Yep.
all. It's like everywhere has to pare back, and that seems like
Yep.
a fairly, to me at least,
Okay.
trivial nicety.
Sure.
Just before we go to Rob, could I ask if there's anybody else, because I feel like I'm the bad guy here. And is there anybody else in the congregation who has anything to say on this? Because we just seem to listen to this, and it's something that really I spend a lot of time worrying over. The finance team, we try to do what is best for the church. And I just want to know, is there anybody in the congregation who has anything else that they might like to add to this particular discussion? keeping in mind that when I put the proposal to you at the end of this, we will be approving everything that I have put out today.
But now, if you want to say something, can you just wait for the microphone to come, Pauline? I haven't forgotten you, Rob. Now, Pauline's down here. Have you got the microphone for Pauline, please?
Hang on.
Oh,
I think Pauline wanted to comment on...
Pauline wanted to comment.
I'd like to say that I think the committee do a wonderful job with the information that they have.
Thanks, Pauline.
Thank you, Pauline. Now, does anybody else wish to take Carol's offer of an opportunity to speak into this situation and about the information, all of the information that has been presented so far?
No.
Okay. In that... Yes, I know, but before I go on to Rob.
Good.
I agree with Carol and with Steve.
Thank.
Well, that will come at the end when we put the budget.
Yes, that when we put something, we're just giving people an opportunity to speak into it at the moment. We're not making any decisions yet.
Rob.
Now, Rob, you've got a question about student housing.
Thanks, Carol, Bruce. In the past and at the present time, I've remained keenly interested in reducing church expenses, which is one way of managing. I'm particularly interested in $10,000 for cleaning in student houses. In the past, that was done by a combination of the property committee and whoever was on the student housing committee. What do we get for the $10,000? How many times is it cleaned?
It is cleaned fortnightly. The student houses are cleaned fortnightly, and the church premises twice a week. Yeah.
So just to clarify, the $10,000 that is against that particular budget item includes cleaning in the church, and also cleaning in the student house. You also should know that the cleaning in the student house is covered by a contribution that each student makes. You can understand, and sorry for speaking, do you want to speak to this, Anne, or do you want me to just explain? You will understand that younger people don't generally have the same sort of care and capacity to understand the need for cleanliness as some of us older people. And in the past, it has Rob has said, been necessary for significant cleaning to be undertaken at the end of each year. Recognising that those two buildings are new and have been pristine, and decided to put the proposal that we undertake a regular and specific cleaning process funded by the students, so that the amount of maintenance is decreased and the care of that resource is covered. The students clean their own rooms, or not, as the case may be, but the common areas are cleaned and kept in a clean condition so that maintenance is minimised. So that's the reason why there's the $10,000 there. The other thing is, of course, that a long time ago we moved away from volunteer cleaning because we just were having more and more difficulty covering the spaces that were required. So that $10,000 is needed to cover the costs for keeping the place in good condition.
But Rob, the cleaning costs of the 24 Chapel Street are covered by the rental that they pay.
Right, thank you.
Yep.
I think it's not $10,000.
No, it's not $10,000.
No.
No, because that also covers this property.
Okay, are there any questions about that? Any more comments?
Okay.
Thank you.
If there are no further comments, then I will present the budget to you for your approval or not. According to the figures we have there, the total income for 2024 is $203,000. The total expenses, $247,775, which would result in a deficit budget of $44,775. I'd like to just point out that the Beyond Morialta mission projects is a balance sheet item, and the income for that and the expenditure for that will not show in the accounts. It's an in and out thing on the balance sheet. I present the budget deficit, $44,775.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for the care that you've taken in going through the budget and explaining where the income and the expenditure items are. We have already had a couple of people making some comments. We now need to. I now need to ask if there are any questions relating to the proposal that people would like to make or ask. If you've got a question, please put up your yellow card. There are no yellow cards. So I put the proposal, recognising that the narrative that has gone with and the rationale, I hope you've all understood. If you didn't understand anything that Carol said, or in fact I said, please, now is your time to put up your yellow cards. But I put the proposal that Morialta accepts the recommendation of the Church Council to accept the budget as it is presented this morning. Can I see your warmth or otherwise? Okay. Now, those people who've put blue cards up, I would like to give you the opportunity to speak to the reasons. Would you like to indicate the reasons for your blue card? Now there's a Steve and Carol, and now who's got the microphone? Okay.
I'm not going to reiterate it. It just seems like, given the status that we're in, I can't honestly say that yes, we should approve it.
Okay. Have you got any suggestions about how we might move forward? Because of course we need to have a budget of some sort that we can operate with.
In terms of suggestions, I mean, we could clearly look at the administration cost. I know there's been a decision made for a full-time minister, but that's a big part of it. And I think particularly the projector thing, I think, is a big deal, because that shows to me a lack of discipline in the current situation. I really cannot see that that's a big deal. The front projector, yes, but it strikes me as a sense within the church that we're not taking this situation as seriously as we should do. So it's more a sign of something as much as it is the $10,000.
All right, thank you. Yes, thank you. I think Carol.
Look, this is really, really tricky for me. We are charged with responsibly being the keepers of this church. And for many years now, we have been putting forward deficit budgets. Now, it's really only with good luck and good management by everybody that on the property team and so on, that we have not realised those deficits over some of these years. I can't, in all good faith, and as I said, I feel like the bad egg in this hen house, I can't see how we can expend up to $10,000 for one piece of equipment that we really logically could do without. This church would not cease to function. And this has caused me huge angst over a long period of time. If the front projector does go bung, is this church going to cease operating? Is this church not going to be able to live stream? Who will be inconvenienced by the fact that that projector is no longer operating? It will affect the minister and the musicians, and that's about it. Or it will affect the people that are operating in this part of the church because they will no longer be able to see that back wall. I, in all conscience, cannot say that we should go ahead with that particular purchase. And this is not just this year. This has been with me for many, many years. So that's really all I've got to say. It is up to the congregation to decide what will happen with that budget. But I cannot support that. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Well, we have some comments. In the normal course of events, I would ask those people who have put up the blue cards, do you feel that you've been heard? Yep. I would then ask if people could show. I'm just telling you what I'm going to be doing. I'd then ask if you would put up your cards to indicate your warmth or otherwise of the proposal, and then depending on the number of blue cards, I would be asking if those who had put up their blue cards are prepared to stand aside so that consensus can be recorded. If they're not prepared and they still want to have their blue card up, then I would ask if they were prepared to put their blue cards down and record agreement. If that was not the case, then we would need to look at another way of doing it. So, are there any questions of what I'm going to be asking you to do? Any yellow card? Yeah? No, you can't. You just wait for the microphone, please, Ruth.
I'm totally confused now.
Yes, now you can speak, thanks.
Does it work? Oh,
Yes.
good. I'm totally confused now because, I agree that we don't need that projector. Myself, I can't read that. It's too faint and too furry. And I think that, it is a long way for people up the front to be able to read it. What is when I'm ever up the front. And if Carol's concern is just particular about that projector, can we have a vote about what to do about that projector and then have the other one, please?
You've asked the question, thank you. Who is warm to that suggestion? Okay. Right. Okay. All right then. In which case we will ask before we put the question about the budget. We'll ask how the congregation feels about removing the expense for the front projector that projects on the front wall, removing that from the budget and thus decreasing the deficit. Yes, Carol? There's a...
Thank you. Could we consider that with the projector, if it fails, and that's an if, it may go on for years. If that projector fails, could we then have the discussion, should it be replaced? Would people be more comfortable with that?
Can I ask can I see your indication? So what we're saying is, this is the situation. Joan. Right. So basically, what I see as the chairperson and the person who's running and facilitating the meeting, I hear, and everybody, the congregation has heard that that the budget is a best guess. It indicates all the likely or possible expenditures that are likely. Now, I don't think that anybody was expecting that on receipt of this budget or acceptance of this budget, that we would immediately go out and purchase a new projector. It is always the case that the equipment works until it doesn't work, and then it's either repaired or replaced. So, having had that discussion and recognising that everybody present has heard the discussion and recognising that it will be part of the record of the meeting, recognising also that the deficit is that which is expected according to the information that's provided, but like this year may vary according to our situation. Can I ask that with reference to the discussion that has taken place and with the understanding that the deficit is a worst case scenario, if you like, we say that in the case of major equipment, major replacement items, that the Church Council be given the authority to make decisions about any replacement costs. Can I see your warmth or otherwise to that? Yes, Steve. Now, have you got the microphone down here? So no, don't you go. No.
Just a quick question, Bruce.
Yes.
Why is it that this camera, this screen over here, can't be used by the people at the front, rather than the one at the back? It gives a much better picture and it's much closer.
Yeah.
The TV screen.
I don't know the answer to that. Can somebody answer that, please?
The singers have got to be looking in the right direction.
Yep.
It looks dreadful if the singers are looking at TV screen.
So what Peter said is that the reason that screen which is there because it's available, is not best placed for the singers to be able to use it, and the piano player, the musicians.
Yeah, Bruce, just speaking from the point of view of being a musician, or maybe not just a guitarist, I seldom use the projected image on the back wall.
Yep.
And quite often will refer to the TV screen on the western side.
Okay.
And that works fine for me. I don't know about the singers though.
Yep.
Who may use that instead.
Hang on, listen, we need to understand that because many of us can't hear, if you've got a question, could you please put up your yellow cards, and Ray will do the best he can to get you so that everybody can hear your very worthwhile and valid comments. Christine Garner.
Thank you, Ray. Mine is a comment. When I have been worship leading or Bible reading or preaching, I cannot see at the back and I cannot see the television screen. I rely on what I've got printed and ready.
Thank you.
Look, we're not here to solve this problem.
No, that's right.
We're here to discuss the budget and the ramifications of the budget. So, once again, can we get back to the budget itself? I would like to suggest, as I said earlier, that if that particular projector fails, we discuss it at the time. There's a blue card up the back there. Steve?
Yes. No, he needs the. Have you got another microphone? Right.
Yeah. Sorry, that blue card is not going down. If that thing goes bust, we've survived without it for years. We're in a budget hole. I don't think we should even replace it.
Okay, well, that's somebody has put forward a subsequent proposal.
Colin has a yellow card.
Colin, you have a yellow card?
Am I missing something? Or, I mean, what we're really talking about is a draft budget deficit of 44,000 or 34,000. Neither of those figures would thrill me with delight, and they both indicate the same problem, that we will find it more and more difficult to live within our income as time goes on.
Thank you, Colin. Right. So, in the interests of expediency and recognising that the deficit has been brought about by submissions that indicate the possible expenditure of monies, can I suggest that we change the budget to a deficit of $34,000, and that we remove that item on the budget papers that refers to a projector or a television for back projection, and that depending on the needs of the community, we make a decision when that projector fails. That's a rationale for reducing the budget to $34,000 and removing that particular item from the budget. How do people warm to that? Okay. Since all people have indicated a warmth to that, I'll put the proposal that the budget that we approve at this time for the next 12 months will vary from that which was projected by the removal of one line item in the AV budget and the change to the deficit from 44,000 to 34,000. Can I ask you to indicate your warmth or otherwise to that proposal? Thank you very much. We have consensus. Yes, we have consensus. Thank you very much, everybody. And I'm really pleased to have been able to hear people talking about and sharing their particular concerns. I appreciate that, and I'm sure that everybody else does. As I said earlier, can I ask you to show your appreciation to those who've prepared the budget? And once again, can I also ask you to show your appreciation to those who have expended monies thoughtfully, frugally, and carefully over the last 12 months. Thanks very much, everybody. We have got the next item on the agenda, which is fundraising. Now, thank you, Helena. Helena is going to provide a brief report for fundraising and community building. Thank you, Helena.
It'll be very brief because it was sprung on me about half an hour ago or something. Mainly a thank you to all of you who supported our fundraising efforts during the year, particularly the concerts that we've put on, which are a relatively easy way of raising funds, even though we split the proceeds 50-50 with the performers. The other big item, obviously, is the market, which was a fantastic result this year, but realistically, in terms of the people involved and the effort involved, we are going to have to seriously think about how we do things next time round, if we do a market, how we do it. So we've budgeted $10,000 for next year on fundraising, which means that if we don't make a big effort on a market, we are really going to have to support concerts and things even more. So if you have other ideas about fundraising that will be low effort but good income, please let us know. So again, thank you. While I've got the microphone, can I just take the opportunity to pass on a message from the community garden across the road, acknowledging the support the church gives them. Yesterday morning was the Christmas breakfast celebration, which has always been in the garden, but we were most grateful to be able to use the kitchen and the foyer, given the weather. And people from the garden commented, they noticed, on the Dawudi Boroughs using the place, and were very interested in that. The food pantry out the front, and generally the support they feel and the connection with the church. So thank you.
So thank you, Helena. It is important for us to continually remember that that the events that take place within this place for the benefit of our worship life and our mission, they need to be well supported. Please take the opportunity to share upcoming events with your friends and family, so that some of the money, at least, that comes in as a consequence is not directly from those who are members of the church family. Thank you, Helena, for that. And it is good to know that our relationship with the community garden is a two-way appreciation. Thanks again. I think now we move on to Bev. Wider Church. Thank you, Bev. Bev is our presbytery representative and has attended synod on many occasions. On this occasion, Bev is going to give you some brief comments about our recent presbytery meeting. Thank you, Bev.
Thank you, Bruce, and thank you, everyone. First of all, though, I will like to point out to you a notice that was in our newsletter this week. It concerns Churches Together South Australia, and it's sad news that this has now ceased to be. And Colin Cargill has been a representative on that for many, many years, and so we share with you, Colin, your disappointment in the ceasing of this particular area of our churches. Now, as regarding the presbytery meeting, I'm going to read a little note from our Secretary of Presbytery. On the 28th of October, the twice yearly presbytery meeting was held in the Enfield Uniting Church. And it's a chance for congregation members to have an input into the business of the presbytery and also to receive information to share with our communities, our congregations. We heard a variety of speakers. We had a message from our General Secretary, Reverend Philip Gardner, and we heard a very interesting talk from two members of the Port Adelaide Uniting Church. Their property, I don't know whether you know that property on Port Road, it's a huge property, and the church no longer can function as a church. And it is interesting to see what they're doing with their property there. So that was interesting to hear from them. We accepted a proposal that Leanne Davis was to be ordained. She will also be our new chairperson from next year. I don't know if there's anything else that was of particular interest to you. There was a very interesting debate, a funny debate, on whether or not churches should meet on Sundays, and that added some humour to our meeting. Once again, it was a time of hospitality, of getting to know each other, and of sharing information about our churches. So I'll bring that as a report on our presbytery meeting.
Thank you, Bev. Now, does anybody have any questions of Bev? I'm not expecting it, but thank you, Bev, for taking on the role and responsibility of our presbytery representative. Thank you. Now, any other business? Now, in the normal pattern of things, I will ask you before I close the meeting with prayer if there's any other matters of business that any member present would like to bring. Yellow card, Ruth. Just wait for a microphone, please. Okay.
I'd just like to report that yesterday Margaret and Ray Clogg hosted a group of us who made 430 bonbons for Uniting Care.
Well, thank you. Before we do go, I'm not expecting it necessarily, but I'm just flagging that Nicole Charrison, our office coordinator, may not be able to be here for part of this week because her son Calvin has influenza A, and because of course we are, some of us at least within this community are vulnerable, we have asked her to remain at home and quite rightly look after Calvin, which means that the office may be unattended on Monday or Tuesday. I would be particularly pleased to hear from anybody who is able to come tomorrow morning, should that be necessary, and sit in the office and act as a welcoming presence for those who might come and seek information. So if you, at the end of the meeting, if you can come and see me, that would be good. Yes.
and I will be manning it tomorrow and Tuesday, and Helena is going to person it, sit there, on Wednesday.
Staff it. Yeah.
Staff it on Wednesday. So it's Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday are covered.
Right, okay. If anybody can do it, just in case we need it on Thursday and Friday, Friday is fine, but if anybody can do it on Thursday, I would be particularly pleased to hear from you. It may not be necessary, we hope it isn't, but just in case, we need to be aware of things. That being the case, I think we have got to the end of the meeting. Thank you very much for all who are present and the participation that you have and the engagement that you have made. Can I thank those who are behind the cameras and behind the microphones and behind the glass for their assistance in making this meeting accessible to those who aren't able to attend in person. And can I say to those who aren't attending in person that you are very much a part of this community, and we wish you well in whatever you are doing now and for the rest of the day. But can I ask those of you who are able to stand so that we might share in the benediction of this meeting and the closing? God, you have been with us throughout our life as a congregation. You've been with us through the ups and downs and the difficulties and the joys. God, in this Advent season, as we look to celebrate the birth of Jesus, who became the Christ, help us to look forward to a future filled with joy and peace and hope and love. Help us to be those things to those people we meet, both within this congregation and community. Be with us now as we go, stay with us when we arrive, and be with those who need you most in their time of uncertainty or illness. And now we go in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, everybody. If you could please assist us by collecting the consensus cards, that would be good.
Thanks, Bruce. I didn't know you got nervous.
I do.
Oh, I'm really surprised about that. It's not an easy job.
No.
Is it, though?
No.
No, it's not.
Craig, could you put down Jenny?